Hello guys, Jared here, and I'm going to do a review of the second film in the Shrek quadrilogy, Shrek 2. So yeah, I'd like to say again thanks to Anthony Ford for suggesting me to review the Shrek movies, and yeah, so Shrek 2 basically follows off from where the first film left off, where now Shrek and Fiona are married, and basically, you know, they meet Fiona's parents, and yeah, Fiona's dad isn't exactly happy that, you know, Shrek turned Fiona into an ogre, and you know, Fiona married an ogre. Well, I mean, Fiona was an ogre before, but only at night time, and they expected her to marry Prince Charming, and when she married Prince Charming, you know, she would become a human all the time instead of an ogre all the time, and yeah, so we get you know, Shrek and Fiona's dad don't exactly get along, and also Prince Charming is the son of the evil fairy godmother, and basically you know, the king and, you know, the fairy godmother, basically they want to you know, Fiona to marry Prince Charming instead. And you know, we also have you know, Fiona's dad, the king, hires Puss in Boots to assassinate Shrek, but then he becomes, you know, Puss in Boots becomes a part of their team and helps them, and also they get a potion which turns Shrek and Fiona human, and it turns a donkey into a horse. And yeah, yeah, Shrek 2, this is actually my favourite in the Shrek series. I mean, you know, the first one was a really great sort of parody of the you know, sort of fairy tale story, and you know, I think it parodied it very well, but I think the idea of Shrek 2 is very clever. It's kind of you know, what happens after the happily ever after, what happens when, you know, they meet the parents and stuff, and you know, I think John Cleese as King Harold is just hilarious, and you know, him arguing with Shrek, you know, in the dinner scene is just hilarious. You know, how they're like, you know, any grandchildren I would expect would be ogres. Yes, not that there's anything wrong with that, right, Harold? No, no, of course not. That is assuming you don't eat your own young. Yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah, the dinner scene is just one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Well, no, actually, it might even be the funniest scene in the movie. The other scene I think could possibly be the funniest scene in the movie is the scene like when they're in like the onion carriage going to far, far away, and you know, Donkey just keeps going, "Are we there yet?" and Shrek's going, "No." And I love when he says, you know, "Are we there yet?" and Shrek says, "Yes," and Donkey says, "Really? No!" yeah. Yeah. I mean, the comedy is just brilliant in this film, and it's also nice to see that King Harold kind of has a change of heart, and you know, he realizes that, you know, you can't force someone to fall in love with someone, but you know, the fairy godmother still wants, you know, Prince Charming to marry Fiona, but you know, King Harold starts to realize that, you know, he's not the person who Fiona loves. Fiona loves Shrek. And yeah, I love the addition of Puss in Boots in this movie. Puss in Boots, voiced by Antonio Banderas, is a brilliant character. Although, you know, even though Antonio Banderas is great, it's kind of weird how in this movie they made Puss in Boots Spanish, when, you know, in the story Puss in Boots is supposed to be French. It kind of reminds me of how in the first film you had Monsieur Hood, who's Robin Hood. They made him French, which is weird because in the story, you know, Robin Hood is supposed to be English. So yeah, but yeah, even though that's kind of strange, Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots is a great character. He's not my favourite sidekick in the Shrek movies. My favourite sidekick is still Donkey, and yeah, Donkey is my favourite character in the films as well as my favourite sidekick. But yeah, still Puss in Boots is great, and yeah, and it's great at the end when we find out that spoilers, King Harold was actually a frog, and the fairy godmother turned him into a human, and I love at the end when they have an opportunity to stay humans forever, but Fiona doesn't want to stay humans. She says, you know oh no, fall in love with the ogre that I married, and I think it's kind of really beautiful that they decide to stay being ogres. And I also think Prince Charming is just a really funny character. I mean, the whole joke of him is basically how whiny and pathetic he is, and he's just hilarious. It's one of the funniest moments is when he's going, I will smite him where he's he's going on about that, and then a bird poos on him, and it's just hilarious, really. Yeah. Also, the whole "I Need a Hero" scene is just one of the most epic scenes in the Shrek movies. Possibly, yeah, probably the most epic scene in any of the Shrek movies. I mean, how the music matches up with the scene, is just brilliant. Yeah, and it's just epic and everything and awesome. Yeah. So overall, Shrek 2, this is my favourite movie in the Shrek series, and I loved the first Shrek, but this one, the second one, I think is even better. But the first two are both great films, and yeah, stay tuned for my reviews of the other Shrek movies, and yeah, bye.